I did have a question.
All right, shoot.
Yeah, I know this topic has probably been brought up, but I'm not sure. But do you think like there are certain like how like people like to go overseas for whatever reason, whether it's to meet a woman or whatever it is, but do you think there are certain parts in the United States that are probably more difficult than others? Or do you think it's generally just like the same across the whole country?
Of course, there's parts that are way worse, like the cities. Like, for example, Los Angeles is a shit show. San Francisco, New York, stuff like that. Miami, all horrible. If you go somewhere in Montana, I mean, you'd probably be okay, but still, it's fundamentally a cultural issue. What I've noticed living overseas. So I was going to make an episode on this eventually, but I guess it's a good time to get into it. It was a great question. Overseas, fundamentally, the culture is far more conservative, and I would equate it to something like 70s, 80s America. For here where I live in Romania at the moment, in Bucharest. Even though Bucharest is like a capital city and there's some degeneracy going on, fundamentally you see it in the way people behave. Like it's not unheard of for a woman to be, for example, 27, 28 years old and will tell you I have to be home early. My father wouldn't like me being out this late, which sounds completely alien to anybody, whether you're living in Montana or wherever else in the United States. Okay, you would have to come from extremely conservative family by left standards, or I should say by Western standards, because the problem is, especially with Red Pill and the Manosphere and just the mainstream media, or I guess all these like panels that you see where people are debating about men and women and the sexual dynamics and conservative versus liberal families. The problem is we're so far left in Western society that conservative people to people outside of America appear far left liberal. Okay, so all your conservative voices, I'm not going to say all, but a vast majority of your conservative voices in America are actually hardcore leftists in other countries. For example, the one I gave earlier, or the fact that people still go to church often, or are very big on belief, and extended families, by the way, are very prevalent. Meeting your grandma, hanging out with her, or your uncles and aunts, grandparents in general, spending time with family often on the weekends together is kind of foregone in the West completely. I mean, we kick kids out in America at 18, like you're expected to fuck off and go make a life for yourself. But that's psyop bullshit. That's very much so destroying the nuclear and extended family. Kicking the kids out so early, it was like the biggest mistake we've ever made. One of the fabrics that got pulled out of what was a strong family unit was getting rid of the kids so quickly. In other countries, it's not like that. In other countries, or vast majority of the world, I guess you could say, is that a majority of the children are very active and still a part of parents' and grandparents' lives. The extended family is very close. So when we make arguments like, where would you go in America to meet a traditional one? You don't, there is none. The brutal truth is what would be considered truly conservative by, actual traditionalist times and those standards do not exist in the United States anymore. You yourself are only comparing what a liberal Westerner versus a conservative Westerner is like, which is just slightly right of the insane left, the leftward march that we've made. So being overseas now, having seen Thailand and other parts of Europe and Balkans and stuff like that, when I hear conservatives arguing on mainstream media or these big panels on YouTube, and the arguments they're making absolutely blow my mind. Like, here's what a traditional, true conservative woman is like. I'll use my grandma as an example. She has an entire garden, plants and picks every fruit and vegetable. They're all fresh every time. She also guts animals completely, like snout to tail, processes an animal, whether it's a chicken or a pig, can make any food you want, from soups to grills to whatever, to dried meats to pickled vegetables and fruits. She has I wouldn't call it a barn, but a shed. Would be more accurate, a shed where she actively smokes and hangs meat. She does this all by herself. Okay, when all the kids come, when all her kids come and their kids, when we're all there at her house, she has a buffet ready for us that she made with her own hands. Because my grandfather passed away, he would have helped her if he was there. But regardless, this woman can do things most men in the West can't. Can a man process a chicken? I give you a live chicken. Can you cut its head off, separate all the guts and process it properly so you don't fucking poison yourself, right? Can you do that? Most men can. Can you process an entire pig snout to tail without tainting the meat? right? Can you make sausages out of the guts? Can you process it? Can you do what these women here in this side of the world are doing? And the answer is most men can't hold a candle to the women that live in traditional societies. So when we're having arguments in the West, it's like, but do you know how to change oil and change a tire? It's like the most basic shit imaginable. But what it meant to really be a man and live off the land, to be self-sustaining and to be able to, feed a family in that way, they're absolutely getting destroyed by these so-called, Eastern European women, Southeast Asian women, people from all over the world that live in more conservative cultures. America's just so far left, dude, that you have no idea that when we're having these arguments about conservatives, it's just another leftist that isn't like nut job level, like, what is a woman kind of argument. But that's one of the issues that conservatives in America have to understand, that they are also liberal themselves. And then we can move the conversation truly rightward, where we can have a conversation about, the patriarchal family unit, what it means to be a man, the authority a man should have in the household, what it means to be a woman, and the authority a woman has in the household, how to raise the children, when the children should leave the household, all right? How much government should be involved in your family. All of these conversations need to happen, but from a much rightward kind of lens that the rest of the world has. For example, here in Romania, there is no benefits to being a single mother. You're on your own. The government's not bailing you out or anything. Asset splitting is extremely rough here. The person who owns, or I should say earns more money, gets the kids by default in this country. There's not real biases like automatic give it to the woman. No, it's like truly who makes more money. Okay, we have a lot of conversations to go before we have quote approaching real traditional mentality in the United States. So when I say like the pond is absolutely tainted, what I'm trying to tell you guys is it's so far left that it doesn't even make sense to take like 99%. There's always going to be some that are actually good, but it's the needle in a haystack. You have to have a high level of investment for very, very little return on it. Okay. So if you want those kinds of odds stacked against you, by all means, do try to look. We have a guy here. His name's Doug. He moved to Thailand not too long ago. He's been all over the United States. He said it's the same shit wherever you go. It doesn't matter. Small town, big town, medium town, boonies. It's all the same cultural rot. Do you want to play with those odds? That's what you got to ask yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like debating. It's like I'm asking myself, okay, what am I doing up here? It's like my mom, they have a house in Colombia. Not
Beautiful.
Pretty much all my family is in Colombia. It's just I'm kind of at the point. It's like, well, do I want to like beat myself to death trying to find myself this dream job, or do I just need to find something where I can make $2 to $3 grand a month? Doesn't have to be anything, special, and just live in Colombia. Because as a matter of fact, I'm actually trying to get my Colombian citizenship because my mom was actually born in Colombia. The issue I'm running into is this is kind of an odd one. I was actually born in Nepal because that's where my dad was stationed at the time when I was born. He worked for the government, and so I was actually born in Nepal. But to get my citizenship, I actually have to have a copy of my original birth certificate. So I'm kind of like in that situation where it's like either I have to find myself a Nepalese consulate in the United States, or I'm going to have to make that trip to Nepal and find my birth certificate. But either way, I've always wanted to go to Nepal to actually see the country where I was actually born, to like see the place where I actually took my first breath of air.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's kind of like I'm asking myself, it's like I've got it all. I'm pretty much just like, yeah, I mean, I could just live in Colombia half the year and then spend the other half of the year taking care of my mom, who's like, she's getting up there. So I'm kind of like in that situation now. It's like, well, I've got to ask myself, what am I doing up here in an area where it's like, it's, as you say, it's very, I'm not trying to get political, but you could describe it as like very, very extreme leftist.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen, dude, having a dual citizenship is amazing. The fact that you have family there. Can you speak Spanish?
I'm actually working on it. I wouldn't say I'm fluent, but I can at least have a decent conversation. Like I can ask like, how you feel, talk about like feelings, like what you like to eat, what you like to do for work.
Get fluent, brother. Get fluent ASAP. Like priority number one, get that fucking document from Nepal, find the consulate wherever it is and go there or visit the country. I mean fucking priority number one. Number two is learn the language inside and out. You need to be fluent in Spanish. You have no idea the advantage you have when you go into Colombia and you can speak fluent Spanish, not like these passport bozos that go there temporarily. You have family, you'll have citizenship, you have blood ties to the country. Okay, speaking Spanish is the utmost importance. When you go there, I guarantee you're going to see avoid the open air brothels, basically, where like most of these bozos go just for sex, and get yourself a really nice woman. They're gorgeous. They're very traditional. They love to provide for a man. They have the machismo culture like most of Latin America. You got to be a man yourself. So take care of your fucking body, eat clean, work out, get your money right, and you'll be rewarded with a very, very beautiful, nice woman that'll make a great mother to your kids. Are you going to get the same in America? Fuck. You could, but it might take you a lot longer. You got to look a lot further. Okay. But you could go to Colombia and right away get you a woman that was, I don't even want to say bred, but raised in a society where you don't have to argue over laundry. It's already expected that a woman does that shit. Gender norms are expected there. Okay. They understand the value of men and what men do and bring to a family. You don't have the combative nature that you do in the West of, like, what do you bring in versus what do I bring? What do you provide versus what I provide? My job. And those women, you don't have to have a conversation about being a strong, independent boss babe, but they want to chase a career. They laugh at you for saying that shit. Like, what are you talking about? Men provide. I want to stay at home with the kids. I want to take care of my man. I want to be at home cooking and cleaning. Like these conversations that my woman watches my videos. I've read comment sections where people are like, just wait until you're a woman. Here's what you're saying. She agrees with 100% of what the fuck I say, giggling in the background as we're watching the videos. As I'm talking my shit, she's like at the table next to me right here, just eating and laughing because it's common sense for the rest of the world. It only seems crazy or appalling to degenerates in the West. This is what I'm telling you guys. So many of these red pill tenants, you don't even need to know them when you go overseas because the women are already behaving in a manner that is extremely feminine. You just have to be on your ball game when it comes to being a man. Unfortunately, we live in such a corrupted Western society where the family structure seems toxic to feminists that they've created multiple generations of women that don't even abide by the same rules anymore that women used to. So they're super masculine, super domineering. You got to treat them completely differently. You got to play games. You got to do a whole bunch of extra crazy shit to get them in line. And even then, it's an uphill battle. A lot of these games disappear when you go overseas. So you won't really know the difference. It seems like I'm fucking whistling honey in your ears and shit, okay? You won't really know until you go for yourself. And every other woman on the street is like a fucking 8 or above, okay? The average level of attractiveness jumps dramatically. There's not going to be obese people everywhere, okay? Those women take care of themselves. Like their beauty is priority number one. Go to Balkan, Eastern Europe, you'll see the same shit. The average woman walking here absolutely destroys what the average is in America. It's insane. It looks like you will see regularly normal looking dudes, pipsqueaks, nerdy fucks, just average as fuck. And they have an American 9. You would consider that an American 9. Like how the fuck did he pull that? Except they're everywhere though. They're just walking everywhere. It's like they're pumping them out like that. Okay. The average level of attractiveness skyrockets. Okay. They treat you much better. They consider your time valuable. So they thank you for it. They put in far more effort when you go on dates and just dating them in general. We'll cook you. I don't ask for food to be cooked. Okay. That just seems alien. Like, what are you talking about? Have that as a conversation is fucking wild, bro. And already knows how to cook a million different things. And at a level that's like chef worthy. Okay. Imagine having that conversation. Like I've seen videos. This is how insane it is. Like a guy comes home from a 12-hour shift and he's fighting with this woman. She won't even fucking put a pizza in the microwave for him. And they're married. Marriage, bro. Like, I don't think you understand until you go overseas. That's why it's these guys. That's why Passport Bros has exploded. These guys went to Southeast Asia. They got themselves one of these, quote, traditional women, and they were floored at what these women were bringing in terms of value to that relationship from the get-go. That's why these guys are never coming out. That's why they were making all those videos. That's why everybody's like all in fucking panties in a bunch. Like, holy shit, dude, look at what you could get over here. It's insane, man. It's hard to put into words until you get to experience it yourself. I was shocked. I dealt with enough women in the West. I thought I dealt with some more, quote, conservative, traditional women in the West. And I was like, okay, that was a good one. This one had some potential. And then literally the first one I meet out here in Eastern Europe just destroy that. Everyone right after, one after the other, after the other, after the other. I was like, holy shit, dude. It's just another level. Then I met my wife and I was like, all right, head and shoulders above all. You know, it's just, I don't argue about dumb shit. I don't have to have conversations about guy friends, for example, and what men want out of women. I don't have to talk about who cooks food, who brings home the money, who needs to work, who's going to watch the kids, you know, parenting styles. There's no combative nature. I don't deal with any fucking bullshit. It's great. And I don't think I would have gotten that in the West at all because the culture is seeped deeply. I mean, TikTok brain. Guys, it's worse for younger girls today. There's like a weird thing that I noticed. I mentioned it in just like maybe 1 or 2 videos, but nowadays, I honestly think the crowd of 18 through 23 is oftentimes way fucking worse than the crowd of like 24 through 28, 9. Okay, way worse, way worse. I think TikTok and social media in general has fucking rotted their brains. When I was dating, I was noticing that like the 19, 20-year-olds, fucking brain dead up here. There was no conversations to be had, no future with them. They are missing massive amounts of IQ. They have no direction in life. Daddy present or not didn't matter because social media took over their mind. As we saw some of the old grandma videos we did where those chicks started getting into, those old women got into TikTok and got completely brainwashed. If that could happen to an older woman, imagine what it's doing to the younger women. So this is a weird dynamic that's playing out right now because, you know, contemporary belief is that like younger is better, less damage. But I think with the advent of social media, like younger is starting to rapidly be far more damaged than the ones in the middle that didn't grow up from day one with a phone in their face, a smartphone. It's weird, dude. It's weird. And it's only getting harder. And if you're in the West and you're dating, it's already fucking expensive to go to a restaurant. You're taking a mean hit on your wallet. This shit is not cheap. It's not cheap at all. Like here, another thing, cost of living differences are massive. So for me, if I went to a restaurant in America, decent spot, let's just say like a 5-star place in town, you're easily going to drop $500. Easy. Here, the same restaurant's $150 max. Okay, it's a huge difference. I could go eat out here for $20 in a really nice place and get absolutely loaded with food. You know, the little corner spot, and the food is nice. The ingredients are fresh, made by a family that still owns the store. Not like America where everything's corporate, right? And you're going to a chain. Because if you go to a chain, the only restaurants left in America are mostly chains. The mom and pop shit's mostly disappeared, right? And those chain stores have shitty ingredients. And they still charge you a ton of fucking money. How much is it to go eat at a Red Lobster or whatever the fuck equivalent chain? I mean, if McDonald's is up to $20, $30, $40 for a couple of people, what the fuck is a sit-down restaurant at now? That's insane to me, dude. So it's even more expensive to date also.
You know, like there's a local restaurant right down the street from where I live. I had to try it out once, and it was like, I'm going to have to like order 2 or 3 of these to even feel like I've had a meal. And each dish is like anywhere from like $30 to like $45. Like,
That's
you gotta
crazy.
be kidding me. And that's just for one person. But like in Colombia, my mom was telling me she could eat like at a 5-star restaurant, take the whole family, like take the entire family out. And I'm talking like 20, 25 people. It'd be like under $200.
Yep. It's not a joke.